We're the police. Please open the door. The monitor showed 3 police officers. I had not anticipated a police visit to my home and opened the front door, shaken. Has someone from our house done something? As I timidly asked, one of the officers spoke. We're here to arrest your son for fraud. We only have a daughter, and she's at kindergarten right now. What? There seems to be some misunderstanding. Soon, the situation began to unfold in an unexpected way. My name is Megan Clarkson, 30 years old. I had just divorced half a year ago and returned to my parents' house with my daughter, Olivia. My parents, almost 70 years old, live in the house along with my elder brother, who is 3 years older than me. Despite their age, they are still in excellent health. They warmly welcomed me and Olivia when we were at a loss after the divorce. My mid-30s brother, still single, is a lawyer and supports our parents. It's strange for me, his sister, to say, but my brother is good-looking and financially stable. I wonder why he's not married. On the other hand, having him around reassures me about our parents' future, though it leaves me with mixed feelings. Nevertheless, I'm just grateful for my parents and brother, who have accepted Olivia and me so kindly. They all dote on Olivia, so I plan to rely on this environment a little longer. Then, one day, as we watched TV during a family dinner, a news report came on. A person who warned someone about their nuisance behavior in a public facility was stabbed by the angered individual. Mother commented, "How dangerous," seemingly unconcerned as she continued eating. Father, slightly drunk on beer, seemed to have forgotten about the news already. I also felt detached, as if it was someone else's problem. However, one person in the room was watching the news intently. "Brother? What's wrong? You look so serious." As I spoke, he immediately returned to his usual expression. It's nothing. You were looking at the TV so seriously." "Well, it's just like Mom said, quite dangerous." "Is that all? I didn't know you were interested in this kind of news." "Of course. As a lawyer, I might handle similar cases in the future." I see. It must be tough being a lawyer."
Yeah.
He looked somewhat gloomy, deep in thought. It's rare to see my brother with such a serious expression at home. Maybe he's handling a similar case at work? I've heard that lawyers and police officers often become targets of resentment, so I'm worried. At home, he usually makes jokes and doesn't seem like a lawyer. His serious demeanor while watching the news felt out of place to me. A few days later. That day, my brother was at work, my parents were on a trip, and Olivia was at kindergarten. I was alone at home. After finishing lunch and cleaning up, the doorbell rang. Yes, who is it? When I checked the monitor, I saw 3 police officers. I was startled, not expecting the police to visit, and was at a loss for words. Wait, why the police? And 3 of them? This isn't just a patrol, is it? Even though I hadn't done anything wrong, I felt paralyzed. As I started to panic, a police officer spoke through the monitor. "Is this the Clarkson residence?" "Yes, it is, but we're the police. Please open the door." My instincts told me not to defy their request. Shaken, I opened the front door to the officers, trembling as I cautiously asked, Has someone from our house done something?" "There's an arrest warrant." "An arrest warrant?" "Yes. We're here to arrest your son for fraud." "Arrest? But..." I was already overwhelmed by the police visiting my home, and now an arrest warrant. I felt as if my heart was being gripped tightly, making me even more frantic. The officers were wearing masks, so I couldn't read their expressions. However, they seemed young. At that moment, I felt a strange sense of incongruity. Normally, would they send such young officers for an arrest warrant? Besides, there's no one in our house who could be arrested for fraud. As I pondered alone, they spoke somewhat angrily. Are you listening? There's an arrest warrant. Please hand over the person. But, you can't just say that all of a sudden. Are you opposing the police? No, it's not like that. Then please hurry up. We're not free either. But right now, I'm the only one in the house. I said with a trembling voice. And the leading police officer sighed heavily and said with a look of frustration. Mr. Oliver Clarkson, he is here, isn't he? Oliver. You mean Olivia? My apologies. It's Olivia, isn't it? Yes. Indeed, Olivia and Oliver do sound similar. But would the police make such a mistake? My distrust in them grew, and a bad feeling settled in my heart. Then, as if sensing my suspicion, they hurriedly continued. Anyway. As a suspect of serious fraud, Olivia's name has come up. Olivia, my daughter? I understand it's hard to believe, but it's true. No, but that's just too much. There's an arrest warrant for your son for fraud. At that moment, I realized the discrepancy I had been feeling. They kept referring to Olivia as a son. I don't have a son, and Olivia isn't old enough to commit fraud. Convinced something was wrong, I told them clearly. Look. I only have a daughter, and Olivia is at kindergarten right now, okay? What? So, my Olivia, my daughter, is a kindergartner. How could such a young child commit fraud? Well, that's, Faced with the reality I presented, the three officers clearly became flustered. They then started whispering to each other, trying not to be heard by me. As I watched their suspicious behavior, the leader noticed my gaze. Puffing up his chest as if nothing was wrong, he confrontationally asked. So, you're trying to fool us, huh? There's an adult male in this house, right? Well, yes, but... About 6 feet tall, thin, in his 30s? Are you talking about my brother? Brother. Upon my mention, they all widened their eyes in surprise. I could clearly see their panic. Something was definitely off. But they continued to push their argument forcefully. Well, you see. There's been a mix-up, and your daughter's name ended up on the arrest warrant. But it's actually your brother we're here to arrest. Understand? Now, hand over your brother quickly. They tried to pressure me with their high-handed language, as if desperate to corner me. Do police officers normally make mistakes like this with arrest warrants? And getting the age and gender wrong too. I've never heard of such a case. They probably need my brother, not my daughter. Still, why is my brother involved in this? Regaining my composure, I reached a conclusion. These people in front of me might not be real police officers. I glared at them with contempt and asked quietly. Excuse me, but are you really police officers? What are you talking about? Of course, we are. But getting the name wrong on an arrest warrant is strange, isn't it? And the age and gender too. Isn't that unusual? That's because we were in a hurry. No, it was urgent. Even so. Is it okay to issue an arrest warrant without proper verification? As I probed further with a hint of provocation, the officer began to get visibly irritated. His face turned red with anger, and he pointed at me, raising his voice. You. It's unacceptable to interfere with police work. If you keep up this attitude, we'll have to. Obstructing public duties? Yes. That's it. We'll arrest you for obstruction of public duties. A police officer who can't even recall the term. Obstructing public duties right away? And I pointed at their disheveled uniforms and spoke plainly. Are those uniforms real? What? Of course, they are. What are you saying? They seem a bit flimsy, and you're not wearing them properly. Aren't they supposed to be worn more sharply? As a public servant, you should set an example, but wearing flimsy uniforms. Shut up. You've been babbling this whole time. Do you want me to show you what it feels like to be in pain? Go. Is it okay for a police officer to make such threats? Enough. Shut up. So angry that his veins are popping out. The more he talks, the more obvious that a police officer. Imposters' bluffs become, and I couldn't help but scoff. I don't know if these men are police, but they are still adults. If they lose their temper and attack, I definitely won't stand a chance. Real police officers wouldn't lay hands on a citizen, but these guys. Reassessing my situation, I realized I was in a rather precarious position. They, too, seem to think if words won't convince me, they'd have to take action, closing in on me. No one's coming even with all this noise. You're alone right now, aren't you? Wait. I'm going to call the police. You think that's a good idea? Just call your brother here, and we might let you off the hook. I could tell by the way the leader's eyes gleamed maliciously that he sensed my panic. Even with a mask on, his creepy smile was unmistakable. Alarm bells rang in my head. In this situation, a peaceful resolution seemed almost impossible. Should I rush into the room and call the police? But what if that fails? Ignoring my anxiety, they approached me with smirks on their faces. This is bad. I need to break out of this situation somehow. I'll wait for the right moment and then make a run for it. It's my only chance. Just as I was about to seize a moment of their distraction to escape. I'm home. I heard my brother's voice at the entrance. Brother. I took the afternoon off because the client I was supposed to meet canceled. But who are these people? I wondered how we must have looked to my brother when he came home. 3 police officers and me, glaring at them. He must have been surprised by the strange sight. He glanced at the police officer impersonators with a slightly surprised expression. But then he started observing their faces closely, as if appraising them. Suddenly, as if remembering something, he exclaimed, and smiled at them. You guys are the kids from the other day, aren't you? What? Confused, I asked my brother what he meant. He calmly began to explain. These guys were causing trouble near the priority seat on the train the other day. Causing a nuisance to everyone around, so I warned them. Then suddenly, they tried to hit me. What? You got hit, brother. No? I easily dodged it. And then, well, I kind of choked them a bit in return. Brother. But hey, that's self-defense, right? Well, maybe, but... The tense atmosphere from before vanished, and my brother spoke in his usual manner, leaving me somewhat taken aback. Meanwhile, the young men, humiliated in public by my brother, were visibly fuming, even through their masks. They must have thought they couldn't win against my brother head-on. So they resorted to this underhanded method. What would they have done next even if they had managed to arrest my brother? Anyway, it seemed like their ultimate attempt at revenge. I shared the entire sequence of events with my brother, still in disbelief. So, that's what happened. I was really scared, you know? They were demanding to take you away. That's a masterpiece. But Megan, you should have seen through them sooner. That police uniform probably came from a costume shop or something. That wasn't the point. They even said they had an arrest warrant. Ha! They're quite resourceful for their age. Well, Thanks to them, we can now take them to court with confidence." At my brother's words, they widened their eyes in shock. As they confronted my brother, they raised their voices. "What do you mean by taking us to court?" My brother began to explain in a deliberately gentle tone. "Isn't it obvious? The moment you impersonated the police, you committed a serious crime." Wait. You can't sue us for something like that. Besides, if you fabricated an arrest warrant, that's a serious crime called forgery of official documents. Hey, how come you know so much about this stuff?" "Why?" "Well, because I'm a lawyer." Upon learning about my brother's profession, they all exclaimed in unison, sounding utterly foolish, "A lawyer." Of course, regretting it now was too late. Their misfortune was trying to take revenge on a lawyer in such a trite way. My brother then said clearly and decisively, "If you had learned your lesson when I warned you that time, none of this would have happened. Too bad for you, now you're heading to prison, aren't you?" "No. Wait, please. I'll apologize, just not prison." "What? I don't need your apologies. And guys like you won't learn unless you face the consequences, right? Get judged properly and reflect on it. And then, don't you ever mess with us again." Got it. Thus, the young men were duly sued by my brother. They faced their punishment for forgery of official documents and unlawful entry. It turned out later that the confusion over my brother and Olivia's name was due to a handkerchief my brother had dropped, which had Olivia's name on it. Would a man in his 30s normally write his name on his handkerchief? It might have been obvious upon some thought, but the young men lacked even that basic sense. Someone who cautioned a person about their nuisance behavior at a public facility was stabbed by the angered individual. The reason my brother was watching that news so intently might have been due to his altercation with them on the train. It dawned on me later that he must have had his own thoughts about the incident after warning them for their behavior on the train. "Sorry for scaring you." My brother apologized to me later. "No, it's okay. I was just a bit panicked because I was alone at home. You never know what today's youth might do. Be careful." "Yeah, I'm really glad you're a lawyer." And their uniforms, they were really flimsy, weren't they? True. Thinking they could fool me with that, those kids are still green. You're right. My brother and I shared a good laugh together. What seemed like a troubling situation turned out all right in the end. I was truly grateful that he was my brother.